it would have been nice for someone to tell me. Um, and if you've not received this message yet, then fortunately, I can tell you what I wish someone had told me. The tests are going to be continuous. You will never reach a point where you're not going to be tested. There are things that are guaranteed in this life: loss of loved ones, ill health, financial turmoil. These are promised for most people. Now, there's going to be different levels to these things and different levels of severity. So, what I mean by that is, even if you are a billionaire, there's going to be times where you have financial issues. There are going to be times where your health is tested or your health declines and you're going to lose loved ones. And I think when you understand this, there's actually a level of equality to a certain extent, because no one is exempt from these things and no one is exempt from death. Once you know that the tests are going to be continuous, the tests are going to get harder the more you ascend. It's quite crazy. It's almost like a juxtaposition. The higher you ascend, the more difficult it gets. However, along the way, you become better equipped to handle these problems. Now, I don't know about you guys, but just for me, I found that just being aware that the tests are going to be continuous and understanding this now can allow me to take a much more stoic approach. Because when I was younger, or potentially is because I was a lot more optimistic, you do feel like you're going to reach this state of bliss. And, you know, taking a pragmatic approach is not to be pessimistic, or if you do think that you can reach, such a level of enlightenment that nothing will affect you, you will have these problems. You just want to be the best version of yourself to have the capacity to deal with these things going forward. The tests will be continuous. The one component that you can change is your level of personal development. You'll be trapped at a level until you're ready to ascend to the next level, until you are the person capable of dealing with those problems. And this will happen at its own time. I've tried to expedite the process, I've tried to speed it up, and you could have everything checked, but life will continue to repeat and show you things until you unlock that one pattern. You could think you're ready, you could think that you have everything in check, but there's that one component missing. And I find it fascinating because, sometimes, well, not sometimes, let me just speak for myself, okay? From a young age, I've always, viewed myself in high regard, or when I was younger, I always had grand visions for the things that I would be able to do and the person I'd become. And it's like you try to detach sometimes the process to become that person. So if you were to be able to speak to the creator and say, I want to be someone that's wise, I want to be someone that's strong. When you change your perspective of how that answer would come back to you, things start to make sense. Because how could you ask for these attributes and not be given the process and the trials? I won't call them problems, but the trials to give you that. So you want to be patient. You want to be someone that's patient and stoic and strong. What will you have to go to in order to unlock those traits? And it starts to make sense. So if you're someone, you're one of those people watching and you really get this and you view yourself in a certain light and you know there's more, and it's because you want to be strong, you want to be patient, you want to have these attributes, just think for a second, what would you have to go through to unlock those attributes? And the process that you're given is never going to be what you expect it to be. It's going to be the one that's necessary for you to become that person where your character is forged, where it cannot be undone. Because it's almost funny. Like, you know, when they say be careful what you wish for. If you are ambitious and right now you're thinking, yeah, I want these things. I want to have the wisdom. What do you think you're going to have to go through in order to get wisdom? What do you think you're going to have to endure to be considered intelligent? What do you think your body is going to have to go through to have an aesthetics physique? It's the bit in the middle, it's the process, but it's not going to be on your terms. It's going to be on, yeah, those terms. And those terms are not, they're not the same because you're going to want it quickly, but it's not going to be quickly that gives you patience. How can you want to be patient and be someone that's stoic quickly? You're going to need the stories. You know, I've always been someone that would want to be able to have a command over my oratory and my ability to speak. How do you think that I've been able to develop this bit by bit? It's not by speaking, it's by listening. The the solution comes in a process that you don't expect. Many people, this is the thing, a lot of things are contrary to what you think. They're counterintuitive. You might think in order to become a better speaker, you just need to speak all the time. But in order to unlock that next level, you may have to develop your writing. You may have to develop your writing and your ability to listen to people. So you may want to be the best singer in the world. Think about it. Think about someone that wants to become the best singer. They're only going to get elevated to that position when they're ready and they cannot rush the process. So it's not just about, yeah, I'm going to make millions of songs. The bit that people don't talk about is how many songs they had to listen to get a grasp or an ear for music. They had to study, they had to study reading music. The solution comes in a process that is not always going to be considered favorable to you in the moment, but once you get to a position where you can see it, it makes sense. Think about something in your life where, in that particular moment, you thought that you were dealt the worst possible hand. And you turn around and it just all makes sense. That adversity that you was going through built a certain character inside that you can look at now and you can be proud of those battle scars. You can be proud of the things that you went through. So don't try and rush the process and definitely don't try and cut corners because the powers that are working are beyond your comprehension. But just understand that these powers are for you, they're not against you. You're not going to be put in a position where you can't handle it. It's there to test your fortitude. And if you understand the process and you understand these challenges are always going to be imposed consistently to make you a better person, for the outcome to be your greatest elevated self, then there's no way you can lose. You're always going to win.